गिरिवरदारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्वितं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगगण रघुनाथान्वितं हंसजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं राधा कृष्ण पादां सगगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय Mataji, we have to begin chapter 16, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, Prabhu. That's what I was also checking.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a minute, Prabhu. I'll change.
No problem, no hurry at all. 16, 3:16, 1 and 4.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's all. Hare Krishna. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale vakshastale kaustubam nasagre varamotikam kartale venukare kanganam sarvange harichandanam sulalitam kante cha muktavali gopastri pariveshtito vijayate gopala chudhamani. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु वबद्धेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. हरे कृष्ण. So I am very fortunate to join your association and try to take more of nectar of Shrimad Bhagavatam in the midst of wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So today we are entering into the third canto, 16th chapter. Before getting into the shloka everything, let us get into the preface, what exactly it is. So Brahma is explaining in detail about the creation and everything to Narada. So when it comes to this chapter, here Brahma is explaining how the gatekeepers of the Vaikuntha planet of the Lord offended the Brahmanas, and in the process, for their offense, they got the right punishment or curses from the Brahmanas. Who are the Brahmanas? There are 4 Brahmanas, all Brahma's sons, who they were supposed to be a Prajapati, but they were not showing interest. And subsequently, they entered into the complete devotional service. As we see here, it's a very interesting thing. This entire chapter describes how the offense to a Vaishnava is completely irreversible. We have heard it so many times in the Bhagavatam, many occasions, starting from the Ambarish Charitra and so on. But one thing we have to understand here is the Vaishnavas are considered the topmost because no doubt Brahmanas are also wonderful. And again, Prabhupada explains it's not mere just understanding the Brahman, and one has to go further up, then only they become a Vaishnava. So here, the gatekeepers, they were very fortunate to take that position of serving the Lord eternally. But unfortunately or fortunately, the situation is like this. Let us get into this, how it happened. As the four Kumaras, sons of Brahma, entered the Vaikuntha to have the darshan of the Lord, the gatekeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, stopped them. They started questioning, and especially the Kumaras were trying to explain, but the gatekeepers were not ready to accept it. That is the problem. So naturally, the offense committed by the gatekeepers or the Jaya Vijaya to the four Kumaras is really hard to believe. The reason is these two gatekeepers are serving the Lord, right? They are supposed to understand the mood of his master. When they try to overdo, this is the situation. That's also we are going to understand. Let's get into the shloka directly. 3.16.1. Mataji, can we? Brahmovacha iti tad घृणताम इतेषाम मुनीनाम योग धर्मिणाम प्रतिनंद्य जगादेधम वैकुंठ निलयो विभुः ब्रह्मोवाच इति तद् घृणताम तेषां मुनीनां योगधर्मिणां प्रतिनंद्य जगादेधम वैकुंठ निलयो विभुः. Mataji can call out a few names to read the one or two the shlokas.
Yes, Prabhu. Krishnamurti Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Shall I read shloka Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Brahmovacha iti tad ganatam tesham muninam yoga dharminam pratinandya jagadedam vaikunta nilayo vibhu. Translation by A.C.
Wait. Prabhu, you have to read the word by word, then to the translation.
Okay. Brahma Uvacha, Lord Brahma said, Iti, thus, such speech, grantam, praising, tesham of them, muninam, those four sages, yoga dharminam, engaged in linking with the Supreme, Pratindhya, after congratulating, Jagada said, Idam, these words, Vaikunta Nilaya, whose abode is bereft of anxiety, Vibhuhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma said, after thus congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So in this verse, Brahma is explaining, the Lord continued to speak. Because as I narrated, the offense are committed and Lord comes out at the conversation between the four Kumaras and the Jaya Vijayas are happening. The Lord came out and could see there is something going wrong. And as he heard the complete situation, the Lord understood there is no guilty conscience or any mistake on the side of the Brahmanas because they are well qualified and they are pure devotees of the Lord. Undoubtedly, they will never do a mistake. So this is what it explains. And understanding the situation, the Lord instantly congratulates the sages. Because here, why he is congratulating? It's very simple. The next few words, what does it say? For their nice words. Because any devotee, the moment they see the Lord, they instantly glorify the Lord. And especially the devotees always not only seeing the Lord, even seeing a devotee, they try to glorify the Lord. So this is the mood of a devotee. That means all the time they only talk about the glories of the Lord. They don't have any other topic other than this. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, Madchitta Madgata Prana. So here also the Brahmanas or the sages are very powerful and they are in a pure state of mind. They are in the Shuddha Sattva and they always glorify the Lord and they speak always nice words. Right? So, this Supreme Lord, who is the Supreme Lord, is addressed here, whose abode is in the kingdom of God. That is the Vaikuntha planet. What is Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha, where there is no anxiety. Because in this present world where we are living, we have got n number of anxieties, right? Starting from the morning till night, there is some point or other we are keep on in the anxious moment only. Why? The reason is very simple. There is a lots of desires within us. There are lots of material urges in us. That is the reason. But whereas in the Vaikuntha planet, all the devotees of the Lord, they are in a pure state of mind. They don't have any material desire just because they cleanse that they are eligible to go back. So, under the circumstances, they are always without any anxiety. So that means where there is a glorification of the Lord, automatically there is no necessity or there is no need for the anxiety. That way also you can consider it. For instance, in the material also, you can see there are so many wonderful devotees like Prabhupada. They keep on talking about the glories of the Lord. They do not talk anything else. For them, the material planet, the Bhuloka, can be converted as a Vaikuntha because they purify everything and they talk about the Lord's glories. Okay. So that's a point here. Who is that Lord? He is the whose abode is the kingdom of God. And the Lord is going to speak further after congratulating the sages. Mataji, can we move to the next one? Thank you. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Etau Tau Parshadhau Mahyam Jayo Vijaya Yevacha Jayo Vijaya Yevacha Kadarthi Kritya Mam Yadho Bah Vakar Akar Akratam Atikramam, sorry, once again. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Yetau Tau Parshadhau Mayam Jayo Vijaya Yevacha Kadarthi Kritya Mam Yadho Bahu Akratam Atikramam. So, Akratam is an important word here. Similarly, Atikramam is also very important. So it's a wonderful verse. Mataji can invite one or two to recite the verses.
Yes, Shobha Mataji, recite the verse. Divya Mataji also can recite the verse.
Haribol Dandat Pranam Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Etau Tau Prasadhau Mahyam Jayo Vijaya Vacha Kadartik Kritya Mam Yatko Bahu Akratam Atikramam. Should I read the slogan or after?
Mataji, it's Atikramam, Parshadav.
Parshad.
Parshada means associates of the Lord. Okay, next Mataji.
Divya Mataji.
Sri Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Shada Mayam Jayo Vijaya Evacha Yo Mam Yadvo Bhava Kratama Matikramam. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji can call them for reading the word by word translation purport.
Yeah, Prabhu. Sudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Ma. Hare Krishna Ma.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Etau, these two, Tau, they, Parshadau, attendants, Mahyam, of mine, Jaya, named Jaya, Vijaya, named Vijaya, Eva, certainly, Cha, and Padarthi, Kritya, by ignoring, Mam, me, Yat, which, Vah, against you, Bahu, great, Akratan, have committed, Atikramam, offense. Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Shanti Mataji. Oh,
Purport.
purport?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shanti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. To commit an offense at the feet of a devotee of the Lord is a great wrong. Even when a living entity is promoted to Vaikuntha, there is still the chance that he may commit offenses. But the difference is that when one is in a Vaikuntha planet, even if by chance one commits an offense, he is protected by the Lord. This is the remarkable fact in the dealings of the Lord and the servitor, as seen in the present incident concerning Jaya and Vijaya. The word atikramam used herein indicates that in offending a devotee, one neglects the Supreme Lord himself. By mistake, the doorman held the sages from entering Vaikuntha Loka, but because they were engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, their annihilation was not expected by advanced devotees. The Lord's presence on the spot was very pleasing to the hearts of the devotees. The Lord understood that the trouble was due to his lotus feet not being seen by the sages, and therefore he wanted to please them by personally going there. The Lord is so merciful that even if there is some impediment for the devotee, he himself manages matters in such a way that the devotee is not bereft of having audience at his lotus feet. There is a very good example in the life of Haridasa Thakura. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was residing at Jagannatha Puri, Haridasa Thakura, who happened to be Muhammadian by birth, was with him. In Hindu temples, especially in those days, no one but a Hindu was allowed to enter. Although Haridasa Thakura was the greatest of all Hindus in his behavior, he considered himself a Muhammadian and he did not enter the temple. Lord Chaitanya could understood his humility, and since he did not go to see the temple, Lord Chaitanya himself, who is not different from Jagannatha, used to come and sit with Haridasa Thakur daily. Here in Shrimad Bhagvatam, we also find the same behavior of the Lord. His devotees were prevented from seeing his lotus feet, but the Lord himself came to see them on the same lotus feet for which they aspired. It is also significant that he was accompanied by the goddess of fortune. The goddess of fortune is not to be seen by the ordinary persons, but the Lord was so kind that although the devotees did not aspire for such an honor, he appeared before them with the goddess of fortune. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Mukam karoti vachala pannam. Atma mandeshi grinte. Paramananda vishwasta. Namaskar Krishna. Mataji, can you go to the translation? Yeah, thank you. As we see here, the Lord is addressing the sages. That is the four Kumaras, the Brahmanas. Here, the Lord says, my attendants have committed a great offense to you all because they ignored me. Very simple. The offense, how it happened? Because they ignored their master. This is what very important in our life too. Especially when there is a festival, for instance. Generally, the yatra leader or someone give you some seva, right? The moment you get the opportunity to do the seva, You think, I have got all the responsibilities. I must be very cautious. I should not allow everybody. So that sort of a mood is always there in the preliminary stage of the devotion. That is the Prakrita Bhakta. But those who are refined, those who are completely matured, they should understand this is a seva at the lotus feet of the Lord, and I should always try to handle it very carefully and diligently. The reason is very simple. Anything that goes wrong will be automatically affecting the servants who does it. So that means servants must be completely thorough with the mood of the master. This is a very important aspect. Even in the commercial aspect, when we get into a multinational company or big corporate sector, what we do, we work under a boss, right? That boss will have different moods and the mood swing will be so much, but very difficult to manage. This is a human being. But here, there is no mood swing of the Lord. The Lord's mood is always it is prasadabhimukam shashvat, always smiling. So one should understand the mood of his master. So that's why when we start with the purport, Prabhupada start instantly, a person may commit an offense even in a Vaikuntha planet. How? Because it is of the ignoring of the Supreme Lord for a momentary situation. This is what happened to the Jaya Vijayas. The difference in the Vaikuntha is by mistake done. That's why Prabhupada writes here, even if by chance one commits, the Lord is there to protect his servants. That means they are not excused fully. They have to undergo the punishment. But the punishment is a different situation here. That's why when we see the Jaya Vijaya were cursed by, after we certain portions we can understand how it is explained. So Jaya Vijaya were cursed by the Kumaras. The Kumaras cursed them in such a way, you go to the material planet and take 100 births, right? Devotee. Then the servants of the Lord are so wise, right? Buddhiman. Instantly, what they asked, this is too long. We want to serve the Lord and we do not want to miss that. If you look at it, similarly, Lakshmi Devi, always serving the Lord eternally, as we know that Pada Sevanam. So the Pada Sevanam, when we talk about the Navavidha Bhakti, Pada Sevanam, when we speak, always we talk about Sri Mahalakshmi, who serves the Lord eternally at all times. So here also, the Jaya Vijayas, they don't want to miss the service to the Lord. Though they have committed an offense, they have to take the burden of it. They have to undergo that because the rules cannot be changed. That's what the Lord says very clearly. Ignoring me means ignoring my instructions, ignoring the sastric injunctions. They have committed an offense. But only thing is, here the Lord is ready to protect them. How to protect them? So that they get back to the Lord's service without much delay, according to their timings. Okay, do not imagine because they took 3 times. You know the story completely. First they become Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, then they become Ravana Kumbhakarna, then they become Dantavakra and Shishupala. So, Prabhupada writes he is protected by the Lord. This is a remarkable fact in the dealings of the Lord and the servitor, as seen in the present incident, Jaya Vijaya. But for that reason, one cannot take it for granted, oh, I can do that. That's why many devotees ask the questions with the Maharajas. When we read that, we were in Goloka, each and every jiva, but how they came to the material world, when they are in the pure state of mind, when they are in the Shuddha Sattva in the Vaikuntha planet, they cannot commit a mistake. They will not do a mistake like that, we assume it. And we ask the question so many times. And here the answer comes very simple. So there is a possibility. How? Because here also the Jaya Vijaya ignored the Lord. That's the only thing. Here also a jiva may commit offense in the Goloka also. That's why we have come down here. That's why in the Chaitanya Sikshashtakam, what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? Somehow or other, I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. What does he say? Somehow or other. One should not probe it, how we came down here. A wise person, what he will do, he will be always thinking how to go back. They will not do a postmortem over how did we come back to this material world. So a wise man will always think of the future. So we should always think of it. What is the next level is now, having come here in this material world, how to go back to the Godhead. That should be our primary goal. So here also, the Jaya Vijayas, they know pretty well they are going to be punished. They have committed offense, they understood everything. But wisely what they did, they took an option of taking the birth of a demon so that it will be 3 times instead of 100 times. So they didn't want to do that. They wanted to come back to the service immediately. So that's why here it is mentioned here the word atikramam used here is indicates offense by a devotee neglects. What is that? It says neglects. How it is neglected? It so happened. Mataji, can you get it in a purport, please? Hare Krishna. So one neglects the Supreme Lord himself. That's why I said also, when there is a festival and we are interested with a seva, what we are supposed to do, we should always remember the Lord and serve the Lord's devotee. And one should not forget the Lord himself. This is very important. That's why he says, Yat karoshi yadasnasi yajjagoshi dava. So there what he say, whatever you do, do it as an offering unto me. Here they took the law in their own hands, forgetting the Lord. That's why it happened like this. Okay, so moving on to that, the sages entering the Vaikuntha, but they were engaged in the transcendental service, and their annihilation was not expected to by advanced devotees. The Lord presence in the spot was very pleasing. This is another very important aspect. See, why the Leelas happen? The atheistic people may ask. The non-believers, they may ask so many things. What is that? Leela, you're talking, what is that? Pastimes. So as simple as that. The Lord, when he created the world, he created a manual. What is that? Vedic injunctions, Shastric injunctions. Those who cannot read and understand, the Lord displays all those things, how to qualify ourselves, how to improve on our great qualities. These are the things which we are getting it here. So the Lord set an example where in the Bhagavad Gita he says, Yad yad acharati sreshtaha. So here also the Lord does not bother, oh, I am the supreme, I will not go down. My servant has done a mistake, I will keep quiet. No. This is what the Lord comes down from his position for the sake of the devotees, and he is ready to do anything and everything. When we get into the 10th canto here, we have got n number of leelas, n number of take the case of Yashoda Maya. The Lord accepts to be bound by her pure devotional service. So that means the Lord do not consider his position. What is the quality we understand from this thing? Humility. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Siksha Takam does he say, Trinatapi Sunichena. So do not expect honor, but don't fail to respect others. This is what very important. Present days, it's very difficult to get it. Very difficult. But here the Lord, what does he do now? He comes down personally to the place where the conversation is going on. The Lord is so merciful that even if there is some impediment for the devotee, he himself engages matters in such a way the devotee is not bereft of having audience at his lotus feet. So, why the word lotus feet is repeatedly said? If you look at the purport, yeah, it's very clear. The sages wanted to have the darshan of the lotus feet. What is the understanding here? One should always remember it. If you look at any of the Vaishnava songs, if you look at any of the pure devotees' desire, they always talk about the lotus feet. The lotus. They never talk about the Lord himself directly. That means the lotus feet is given more importance than the Lord himself. Why? Very simple. Because if you look at all the Puranas, every devotee wants to stay at the lotus feet and serve the Lord. One of the acharyas in the Vaishnavism, he is explaining there is so much of nectar at the lotus feet, which keeps pouring. One has to drink it eternally. One has to remain always eternal servant of the Lord by serving at the lotus feet. So this way, it is explained very clearly. The sages wanted to have the audience of his lotus feet only. Again, when we talk about the lotus feet, there are some more attributes. What are that? When we see that there are so many chinnas, chinna means there's impressions at the lotus feet of the Lord. You might have seen it, right? Starting from Gada, so many long lists, right? Even the Shankh, Chakra, everything will be there, right? So that means the lotus feet is given so much importance, and everyone always should look for the lotus feet. Even when we go for the temple darshan anywhere in the deity, right? What is more important is Shastra says and Acharyas explain Padadikesham. What is that? Padadike. Pada means the lotus feet. Then only one has to come to the highest position of the lotus face of the Lord and his wonderful transcendental hair. So Prabhupada says one must always start having the darshan from the lotus feet, then upwards. There is only one exception in this situation. Who is that? Kunti Maharani. As we see that Kunti Maharani's prayers, she never starts with the lotus feet of the Lord. Why? Because Prabhupada writes in this purport a very simple thing. Krishna will be finding it some sort of uncomfortableness. Right? So, Kunti Maharani understood his Lord's position because Kunti Maharani is aunt of Krishna. So, when aunt, who is elder to him, they talk about his lotus feet, the Lord will feel so much shy. That's the reason Kunti Maharani, he started the prayers with the Nama Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankajamaline. So she starts with the lotus navel. That description goes on. If you look at any other devotee glorifying the Lord, starting from Rudra Gitam in the 4th canto, everywhere you can understand how the devotees of the Lord glorify the lotus feet first alone. So that much importance is given to the lotus feet. Now we have understood that. So he himself manages matters in such a way devotees audience. Then Haridas Thakur example is given here. So wonderful. See, Haridas Thakur, he is called as Namacharya. Namacharya means he is the Acharya of the names. Why? Because he non-stop, he chants the holy name of the Lord. In a day, he chants lakhs and lakhs of the names. Forget about the kula he has born in the community where he is born. This is immaterial. Because when we say that, one should understand the Shastra explains Brahma Janati iti Brahmanaha. So someone born in a Brahman family cannot claim I am a Brahmana unless he understands what is Brahman. Prabhupada writes in the further purports. Then again, Prabhupada further writes, it is not mere a Brahmana, a qualification. There is a further higher position. One should understand the Supreme Lord. That's why in the Vaishnavism, generally, the Brahmanandi is considered a little lower level. Then Bhajananandi or Goshtyanandi, one who always glorifies the Lord, and one who glorifies the supremacy of the Lord, they are considered more. That's why here we can understand Haridas Thakur, though he was born, there is no such thing. If he is a Mohammedan, it is only his birth. But after that, the amount of holy name chanting, the pure level of ruchi, and all those things, only Haridas Thakur got it. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here, the situation explained here is in the Puri Jagannath, as we know that not only in Puri Jagannath, even if you come to Srirangam and many places, there would be a signboard outside. White-skinned or rather foreigners or those who are non-Hindus cannot enter the temple. Like that, the signboards are there. So in those days, it was there, even now also in certain temples are there. So here, Haridas Thakur simply stayed outside instead of disturbing them getting into the temple. Oh, I can also do. I am a Namacharya. I am a initiated devotee. I can chant the holy names. So naturally, I can go now. He didn't do that creating a scene to give disturbances to the servants of the Puri Jagannath. So what did he do? He stayed outside. In this relevance, we can understand there is one more situation in the history. Many of you might know Udupi temple in the Karnataka. In that, you know that the fourth category one devotee, his name is, anybody remembers?
Kanakadasa.
Very good, very good. Kanakadasa, he came from the fourth Varga. In the Varnashrama, he came in the fourth Varga. So what did he do? He did not show his devotional service by forcefully entering into the temple, because the other communities were prohibiting him from entering the temple. But how he did devotion? He went back side of the deity where it is, and he started worshipping the Lord. How much devotion he dedicated, one can understand. He cries out every day, every day. And the Lord could not wait anymore. He has to show mercy on him. So he turned back. The other community later understood the pure devotion is completely based on individual soul, how they perform it, not based on their birth. This is not a birthright like in the political side or in the democratic way of life. Here it is not so. One should understand there is no birthright. That's why if you look at it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, Jayate Janmana Shudraha Kalau. So in Kali Yuga, everybody is born as a Shudra. One has to purify themselves. And Haridas Thakur here, as explained here, he is a purified, high quality Vaishnava. But still he did not provoke the devotees of the Puri Jagannath temple. So he stayed outside, understanding his humility, understanding his devotion, understanding his pure quality chanting. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself, he always used to sit with him. He always used to take his association. He always used to ask so many questions as if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not know. He knows everything. But to glorify his devotee, so Haridas Thakur, the Lord asked so many things on the great Harinam Kirtan. Who is that? Haridas Thakur. So the 10 offenses, as we read that, one can understand. It's very simple. One should not do any offense at the feet of the devotee of the Lord. So here also, Haridas Thakur is such a pure state of mind. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself came and gave his association to Haridas Thakur and was sitting with him. So further also, he took him in his own lotus hands when he was affected by illness. So one can understand all these wonderful situations. What is more important is one cannot underestimate by the external outlook of a person or a jiva. He is not a devotee. This is a very, very important aspect one has to understand. One should not commit any type of offense at all. Okay, so here finally, the goddess of fortune is not to be seen by ordinary persons, but the Lord was so kind that although the devotees did not aspire for such an honor, he appeared before them with the goddess of fortune. See, again, the Lord comes as a Divya Dampati. This is very important. So, the Lord showers more mercy than expected when we do our devotion in a perfect state of mind. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can we move on to the next shloka? Yastu yetayor drito dhando bhavadbhir anuvrataihi sayevanu matho smabhir munayo deva helanat. One more time, I'll read it. Yastu yetayor drito dhando bhavadbhir anuvrataihi स एवानुमतो अस्माभिः मुनयो देवहेलनात्. Narayani Mataji, you can call out.
Yeah, Suma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna.
Yastva etayodhruto dando bhavatvirmam anuvritai sa evanumato asmabhir unayo deva helanat. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mataji, Suma Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
Anuvritaihi, there is a visarga. याद रखिए.
Anuvritaihi.
Perfect. Then it is perfect. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Vishwanu Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Hare
Mataji, please Sanskrit.
Synonyms, Mataji, synonyms.
Okay, synonyms. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, to, but, etayo, regarding both Jaya and Vijaya. Dratah, has been given. Danda, punishment. Bhavabad,
Bhavadbihi.
Bhavadbihi, by you, ma'am, me. Anuvrateha, devoted to, that, Iva, certainly, Anumataha, is approved, Ambiha,
No,
by me.
Asmakihi.
Oh, sorry, Asambihi, by me, Mamyaha, a great sages, Deva, against you, Helanat, because
Helanat.
of an
Helanat.
Helena, yes, because of an offense. Translation.
Mataji, Namita Mataji will
great.
read translation.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O great sages, I approve the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them.
Hare Krishna. So the higher approval has come now. So that means the sages are on the right side. And the Lord is always ready to approve it. Why? Because they have committed an offense in such a way they have forgotten the Lord Himself, and this is the punishment which they have to undergo. Helanath, there is another wonderful sloka which always quoted here. This is Helanath. When we talk about the holy name, it talks about it, right? Sanketyam parihasyamga stobam helanameva vaikunta namagrahanam ashesha agaharam viduhu. That is coming in the 6th canto, wherein it talks about the strength or the potency of the holy name, how powerful it is. Even sarcastically, or if somebody used to make fun of it, all these things, the holy name remains the same. Helanath means jokingly also when it is said, it is explained the powerful holy name has got all the potency in it. So here we can understand the translation as it goes. It is explained, the Lord Himself says, I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted. You means who? The sages who are devoted to me. You are very much devoted to me. And what does He say? The punishment I have meted out to them is perfect. So that means one cannot argue on this. Sometimes what happens, there are so many mental speculators, those who want to speculate and try to use their little intelligence as if they are well versed. But here in this Leela, one can understand how the Lord approved the sages and how He ignored His servants who were serving for so many years. One should understand this is very simple. In the previous purport also, it is very clearly mentioned. The position when we take as a servant of the Lord, we should be very careful. It's not that easy. That's why if you look at the Mukunda Mala composed by Sri Kulasekara Alvar, one of the 12 Alvars of the Sri Sampradaya, he does not want to take the position of the servant of the Lord. He says 7th level. Imagine that. Imagine that. What does he say? Tvad britya britya brityascha britya paricharaka britya brityascha itimam smriti lauka natha. So what does he say? I want to remain in the 7th level of the servant. But nowadays, what do we say? Oh, I am devotee of Krishna. He is a non-devotee. This sort of a comments we have to be very, very careful on that. So this is what which is explained here. Though the Jayavijas, they are undoubtedly a servant of the Lord, they are the devotee of the Lord, but they ignored the Lord for a momentary situation. And they are meted out with such a curse by the sages. And interestingly, all this happened because they ignored the Lord for a minute. Very simple. That's why remaining in Krishna consciousness is not that easy. That's why Prabhupada says, getting into it one thing, staying on, holding on, continuing, and always remain fixed is the topmost level. So this is what we have to understand very clearly here. So the Lord approved it. Okay, let's move on to the last shloka. Third canto, 16th chapter, shloka number 4. Tadvaha prasada yam yam yadhya brahma daivam param hi me tadhi ti atma kritam manye yat swapumbhir asakritaha tadvaha prasada prasad yam yadhya brahma daivam param hi me tadhi atma kritam manye yat swapumbhir asakritaha. Narayani Mataji.
Yeah, Suma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Tadva prasadam prasadayami adya brahmadaivam param hi me tadhiti atmakritam manye yatsva pumbhir asat krita.
No, Mataji.
Sorry. Yeah.
Mataji, again Visarga is there. Kritaha.
Okay, Prabhuji, that.
You understood, no? Those semicolon like it's called as Visarga. So always shloka will come like this. Because here ta is there, that becomes taha. It is ta means taha, right? In the previous verse, we saw that tai, that becomes he. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Suma Mataji, you have already read. I forgot. Anita Mataji, you can read the shloka and then synonyms, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Ma.
Tadvaha prasadayamedhya brahmadevam param hime tadhityatma kritam manye yatsva pumbhira satkritaha. Synonyms: Tat, therefore, vaha, you sages, prasadayame, I am seeking your forgiveness, adhya, just now, Brahma, the Brahmanas, Daivam, most beloved personalities, Param, highest, he, because, may, my, tat, that offense, he, because, iti, thus, atmakritam, done by me, manye, I consider, yat, which, swapumbihi, by my own attendance, asat kritaha, having been disrespected. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Sindhu Mataji. Translation.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Pranams Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen.
Purport.
Hare Krishna. Purport. There's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada.
Janki Mataji will lead. Mataji, please.
Yeah. She is there. Some more are there.
Janki Mataji.
Hare Krishna, purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The Lord is always in favor of the Brahmanas and the cows, and therefore it is said, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality, or Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is also the worshipful deity of the Brahmanas. In the Vedic literature, in the Rig Mantra hymns of the Rig Veda, it is stated that those who are actually Brahmanas always look to the lotus feet of Vishnu. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. Those who are qualified Brahmanas worship only the Vishnu form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means Krishna, Rama, and all Vishnu expansions. A so-called Brahmana who is born in the family of Brahmanas but performs activities aimed against the Vaishnavas cannot be accepted as a Brahmana, because Brahmana means Vaishnava and Vaishnava means Brahmana. One who has become a devotee of the Lord is also a Brahmana. The formula is Brahma Jana Titi Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who has understood Brahman, and a Vaishnava is one who has understand the personality of Godhead. Brahman realization is the impersonal feature of the Supreme, which is Brahman. Therefore, one who becomes a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. It should be noted that the glories of the Brahmana described in this chapter by the Lord himself referred to his devotee Brahmana or the Vaishnava. It should never be misunderstood that the so-called Brahmanas who are born in Brahmana families but have no Brahmanical qualification are referred to in this connection. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. See, when we read the verse and the translation, one can instantly understand how the Lord is so humble and how he shows his humility here. See, just because servant has done some offense and the Lord takes that offense on him, this is the greatest quality. That's why when we look at the transcendental qualities of the Lord, it is unlimited. Right? This is also explained by Krishna himself to the great devotee of the Lord, Muchkunda. That comes in the 10th canto, 51st chapter, verse number 37 or something, wherein Krishna says, I have appeared so many times, I have taken so many names, I have got so many qualities, it is beyond counts. I myself do not know. Like that he says. In the same portion, Krishna says a person can take so many births and they can try to calculate or count the particles of the entire earth planet on the surface. But one cannot count and complete my qualities. It is unlimited. If you look at it in the Vishnu Purana also, Adishesha, that is none other than the expansion of Balaram. What does he say? I have got 1,000 hoods and I am trying to glorify the Lord's transcendental qualities. It is never ending. It goes on and on. So that means here the Lord's quality is displayed here. One should understand it. Again, in the purport, Prabhupada emphasizes the Brahmanas here and how the Lord is always favorable to Brahmana. That's why Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya. Go Brahmana means cow and the Brahmanas. If you look at many of the Bhagavatam verses, everywhere the kings are supposed to take care of two things in the entire kingdom. One is the Brahmana and the next one is cows. So these two are very crucial for any society. How? Very simple. We talk about the Varna Ashrama Dharma, right? 4 type of Varna and 4 type of Ashramas, right? But all these things are beautifully guided by the Brahmanas who are fully qualified, not a so-called Brahmana who is a pretender. So here one can understand the Brahmana means not merely wearing a sacred that and he can claim, oh, I born in a Brahmin family. So according to the Shastra, Brahmana means one should do the Anushtan, one should possess all these great qualities. As I told you before, by by birth, nobody is a Brahmana. It says, that's why I said earlier, translation, what I was explaining, it says, anyone is born as a Shudra only. They qualify as a Brahmana after taking up so many purificatory process. So one has to possess these qualities, not the birthright claim, which is wrong. So again in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, what does he say now? Chaturvarnya maya srishtam, and what does he say? Guna karma vibhagashaha. Guna means they should possess these qualities. They should acquire these qualities. They must amass these qualities, not merely amass so many things. Nowadays there are so many Brahmanas only accumulating wealth. Right? That's not the case. Here it says one should acquire these qualities. Then karma, whatever they perform, that's also very important. Then only the entire world will follow him. He will set an example for the entire society. That's why the kings were having only Brahmanas as the ministers in olden days. But now, right from there is no king, there is an administrator, and all the ministers also what? They are all simply the foolish people and they are misguiding people. So in this situation, here Brahmanas are given so much importance. Again, when we get into the Taittiriya Upanishad, wherein Brahmaji, when he is glorifying the Lord with the Purusha Sukta prayers, many of you might have heard about it. What does he say? Sahasra Sirusha Purushaha, it comes, right? In that in between, what does he say? Brahmanosya Mukamasit, like that it says. That means the Brahmanas comes from the lotus face of the Lord. That means the Brahmanas are given so much importance. Brahmanas means, again I emphasize, not the so-called the true Brahmanas. When we talk about the true Brahmanas, the definition is very simple in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains to Arjuna very clearly, Shamaha, Satyam, Damaha, Daya, Satyam, like that it goes on, right? There are so many qualities which are explained for a Brahmana. If they possess that, then only they are called Brahmanas. Not only the qualities, whatever the act they perform, as I told you also, it's very important. So as we see here, it is a very important aspect of it. A Brahmana should always try to accept the supremacy of the Lord. Nowadays, there are so many so-called Brahmanas. They try to talk something atheistic, or sometimes they try to speculate. All these things happen, but these are all not the Brahmanas, if you look at it. So merely realizing Brahman is not sufficient. One has to go further. If you look at the entire Puranas also, we can understand Sukadeva Goswami, he stayed in the mother's womb for almost 16 or 18 years. But when he came out, he was a Brahmanandi. That means he was in a perfect position of a Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. But again, he was such a perfect Brahman stage mein. But what happened further? He was looking for something else. What is that? He was looking for the Supreme Lord, devotional service. That's why he says, there cannot be anyone dayalu, kamba dayalum, saranam brajema. One has to surrender. Who is that? Krishna himself, no other one. So this is what also explained in this. In this connection, I quickly try to explain how humility is very important in a wonderful situation in the story which I am going to narrate. So, Sri Ramanujacharya, when he was on this planet, he did so many leelas. So when we see that one time in the Srirangam, the Lord Ranganatha Swami have wonderful dresses, and these dresses are washed by a dhobi washerman. And this washerman, he used to take it to on the Kaveri banks and wash it very nicely. Then he does the ironing, everything, and he brings it to the Lord every day. So he sees it, it is in a perfect shape. Every time, whenever he does it, he thinks, oh, am I qualified to touch the Vastra of the Lord? Like that, he was very humble and humility was always there with him. So, Ramanujacharya has a procedure. He used to invite the devotees and honor them on special functions and celebrations. So there was a very special function all the entire Srirangavasis, all the devotees, all the disciples of Ramanujacharya, they all assembled and they were participating in the Utsava, the celebrations. It was so interesting. Everybody was very joyful, especially the disciples of Ramanujacharya. They felt it, oh, I am very fortunate to have my Guru as Ramanujacharya. These things he were thinking. And on this day, Ramanujacharya used to call one of the devotees and giving him special honors. What is that special honors? The vastra which was worn by the Lord will be kept on the head of the devotee. This way Ramanujacharya used to make it so simple and he used to call out the names. So on this special day, when Ramanujacharya was offering so much of prayers and so many other upacharas, he noticed that the vastra is so beautifully done. And he has been observing this Dobi has been doing it so nicely. So he thought immediately what I have to do today. But interestingly, as celebrations are going on, among the disciples, they were talking, today I will be respected by Ramanujacharya on this wonderful day. Like that, each one, everyone was speculating, I will be doing, because I am serving Guru so well, I am serving the Lord so well. Like that, they were all talking so much. So the celebration almost coming to a close, and Ramanujacharya has to call the devotee name and honor him. The time has come. So this Dobi also came for the celebrations because he wanted to have the darshan of the Lord. And he was praying at the behind, at the last level, and he kept on crying, oh Lord, I do not know, have I committed any offense, please forgive me. And he was keep on talking so much to the Lord, and Guru also very clearly, I do not know how much service I have done. I have to make it more perfect, more perfect. This is the mood of a pure devotee of the Lord. So he was standing in the corner, and all other devotees were so crowded. And Ramanujacharya called out the name of the Dobi who used to wash and used to ironing the dresses of the Lord. When he called out, every disciple of Ramanujacharya were feeling, oh, I am not qualified. Am I not qualified? Like that, they were thinking so many things. They were talking in between. Certain disciples were a little angry too. And the devotees in general who were assembled, the Gramya Vasis, Sriranga Vasis, they were all very happy. Ramanujacharya has chosen a wonderful person or a wonderful devotee to honor on this special day. So when his name was called out, this Dobi was hiding himself. The other devotees pulled him, and when he was coming to the front, he has to wade through so many devotees waiting, right? But what did he do? With humility, he was bowing down and making his way to approach and come closer to Ramanujacharya. So when he came, Ramanujacharya hugged him and honored him with the wonderful saffron, rather silken cloth on his head. So this way, one should understand, one cannot underestimate. Very simple thing. So we among devotees, sometimes we need to compare. This is also a wrong notion. We have to stop comparing. Automatically one will understand. This is the essence of it. So here also, one cannot understand the devotional service and that devotion. Only the Lord and the devotee will understand it. As I told you, the Kanakadasa, as I told you just now, also similarly. So here, the Lord is much more ready to give himself up to the devotees. That's why, though the Lord says in the Bhagavatam very first verse, I am Swarat, I am fully independent. But the same Lord, when it comes to the 9th canto, Ambarish Charitra, what does he say to Durvasa when he approached the Lord to take protection from the Sudarshana Chakra which was attacking him because of the offense committed by Durvasa to the great devotee Ambarish. At that time, the Lord, what does he say now? Sorry, I cannot do anything. He went to Brahmaloka, Brahma escaped. He said, I cannot do anything. It's a Vaishnava aparad. It's a great offense. Then he went to the Kailash. There also Shivji said, no. Then when he came to the Lord, Vaikuntha planet, the Lord, what did he say now? Sorry, I am not having any independency. What does he say now? Aham bhakta paradinaha, he ashwatantra ivadvija. Ashwatantra, I don't have swatantra, he says. I do not have independence. So that means the Lord comes down to a level to glorify his devotees like that. So that means here the humility, there are lots of points, as I told you. If I summarize now, there are so many things one has to understand. The Lord has shown his humility throughout, and the Lord is always ready to protect his devotees. So a devotee might do a mistake even in the Vaikuntha planet because of ignoring the Lord for a momentary system, and they are protected again. They are not let loose. Again, the Lord. That's why Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. That's why he takes care of the Jaya Vijaya also. They come back. They come back to the Lord after a very short period of 3 demonic situations. So, like that, further in this verse, it is explained the Lord is always giving so much of importance to the cows and the Brahmanas because they are the pillar of the entire society. Hare Krishna. Granthra Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anybody has got any question, let me try to answer. Hare Krishna. Anybody has got any doubts?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, instead of questioning, we were enjoying the humility of Supreme Lord. How he is so concerned and gracious to the devotees, that itself is a great lesson for us, Prabhuji, today.
Thank you so much. Because offense committed by servant and the Lord takes it on him. So that shows the humility of the Lord. So we have to understand this also in our life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Narayani Mataji, any question? Is there? You have time?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yeah, there was a
minutes.
little power cut at our house. Yeah. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Again, I can say it's such wonderful explanation and wonderful session. We got this, privilege to have your association. So thank you very much, Prabhu. The questions are done. Does anyone want to ask any question? Suma Mataji. Yeah, please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji, Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, sometimes we will do mistakes, Prabhuji, offenses, without knowing, without having any intentions, Prabhuji. So how can we come out of that sins, Prabhuji?
Very simple. Mataji, knowingly, unknowingly, when we do mistakes, it's important one has to understand how to come out of it. As you said, it's very, very important. One has to take the prayachitta. Prayachitta means keep chanting the holy names to purify ourselves. Because any karma will have the reaction. So one must be able to take up the reactions of that. One must be able to take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord at that situation, because we did a mistake or an offense because we forgot the situation. Even in the case of Jaya Vidya, it is Prabhupada is explaining, they have forgotten, because Lord himself says, not Prabhupada. The Lord himself says in his verse, what does he say? They have forgotten me. So for that reason, they have to undergo this. So the Vaishnava tolerate and they try to undergo the sufferings. This is the very important. That's why when in the Bhagavatam also 10th canto 14th chapter Brahmaji says Tatye Anukampam Susamikshamano. That means devotee always take up all the punishment or all the reactions of his karma. How? By taking the shelter of the Supreme Lord, who can make it light or who can make it possible to withstand that. So we do always, knowingly, unknowingly, but what is more important is to accept, to undergo the punishments one has to have. But how to accept and undergo? By taking the shelter of the Lord. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
But
Prabhuji,
it's very important. How we did it, it's as simple as it. It's very clearly mentioned. By forgetting the Lord, one commit a mistake or one commit a offense. So what is more important, Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness. Always remain in Krishna consciousness. Automatically, one will not come across the situation. Mostly. Okay? If it is happening, then we have to undergo this. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, it takes so much of penance, no, Prabhuji, to reach to that stage, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Jayam,
yeah.
Vijaya,
Austerity is very important. Austerity is very.
How could they forget the Lord, Prabhuji, even for a moment?
This is very interesting. So this question will always arise with us. That's why here it is explained. Even in the Vaikuntha also there is a possibility of it. But what is more important is the Lord comes to the rescue. That's why in Bhagavad Gita says, Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. Never let my devotees down.
Thank you
But
so much.
they have to go, they have to undergo, but the Lord is always with them. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Narayani Mataji, done? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So no more questions. We can end the session here with your permission, Prabhu.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for giving the opportunity. We are longing for this association again and again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We were so engrossed with the class today. Very nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
So we'll do Vaishnava Pranam mantra.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Vacha kalparupescha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo.
Grantha Shrimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
Shrimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank
Krishna
you.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Shall I end the session, Prabhu?